Hi, everybody. It's Peter Selby from Business Drivers with another episode from our podcast series, Releasing the Business Handbrake. Today, I am delighted to have with me Anthony Baxter, who is the CEO and founder of a company called Firefly Digital. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you, Peter. Much appreciated. Thanks for having me.
Hey, look, so Anthony, just to get the interview going, maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and a bit about where you've been and how you come to running a company called Firefly Digital.
Sounds good. So the digital marketing space I probably fell into by accident. Typically through my early 20s, I was a sales guy. So I cut my teeth into sales, met thousands of people, and really honed my craft in terms of just understanding people, understanding how to put together a deal, and how to influence decision making. So through that
what
process,
were you selling?
Yeah, interesting. It was telco actually, so mobile plans to businesses. Again, very commoditized space, highly competitive with Vodafone Telecom, and I was working for a company called 2 Degrees. So they were the new guy on the block, and yeah, it was a really interesting space. I quite enjoyed getting to go into various businesses, and even though it was only talks about mobile plans, gave me the ability to sort of have a view into each business, see how they were operating, and really just get to fuel my sort of passion for entrepreneurship and be around other people that were moving and shaking and doing things. And even though it was telco and mobiles, it was a great first way to get into that space. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, cool. So maybe tell us a little bit more about how you come to form the company that you now have, and tell us a bit about the company.
Sure. So after telco, I was looking for a change. I fell into digital marketing, worked for an agency for about 9 months. Just fell in love with the space, obviously having the ability to grow a business and obviously at the cutting edge of digital marketing at the time. This was 2012. Google Ads in New Zealand was very, very new. Social advertising really wasn't being done at all. It was very, very new. And yeah, the space was amazing. After 9 months working with the agency, I really thought that it was time for me to give it a crack. I've always had entrepreneurial tendencies ever since I was a kid, following my dad around and seeing his businesses. So I handed in my resignation. 1 day later, I was building Firefly in the spare bedroom in Mount Wellington, my small little flat. And the rest was history. It was truly a decision time where I had to jump into the deep end. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of things that we did not know at all. It was my first business, and over the journey, over the course of the last 6 years, we started in 2014, and I guess the team's really, really growing, and we've built a reputation for growth. So now Firefly is a performance digital marketing agency, and we specialize in SEO, Google advertising, and social media advertising. So that's really our core competencies. And, we've worked with over 700 companies to date, generated over $400 million worth of sales for our customers. And, you name it, we've done it. 100 plus industries, small business, all the way up to international juggernauts. So it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot along the way.
And how do you see Firefly in the future? The core things that you do now, do you think will be the same in the future from a market perspective, or is the market changing? Or
really good question. I think, well, first of all, with COVID, obviously the entire landscape has changed, and Firefly always had a plan to focus on e-commerce, but we've brought that plan forward, and so we're hiring aggressively to be able to help e-commerce stores scale as more businesses start to sell online and as more people purchase online. So I truly believe that the buying sort of behavior has changed forever. And, now there's no age discrimination with someone purchasing online, because basically everyone was forced to figure it out, I believe. So e-commerce is a big thing for us, and it's obviously huge in the space and the future of digital marketing. But also Firefly, I think, it's quite interesting. We sell Google advertising, we sell Facebook advertising, and the barrier to entry is quite low for this space. So, if I think about my own behaviors, I left the agency. I had a $100 laptop, no money to my name. And, we built Firefly to a $2 million agency in a couple of years, just through sheer grit and determination. And I feel like it's probably a little bit harder these days, but, the barrier to entry is quite low. So, yeah, we need to focus on other things that tap onto that, such as the strategy, the thinking. Anyone can do Google advertising or SEO or social media, but the gradient of the result from those channels and how well an agency does that, in my opinion, is massively predicated off strategy. Obviously, the talent that you've got, the data that you sit on. If you've worked with a company before in a certain industry, you can replicate the results. And those three things really need to come together. So that's our focus for the future. We want to hire the best talent. We want to focus on strategy, higher up the food chain, so people come to us as a thought leader, and we want to stay cutting edge through those channels as well.
So, Anthony, you mentioned there that the barriers of entry are quite low. Maybe you could just tell the listeners a little bit about some of the challenges in this digital marketing space.
Well, that's the thing, right? The barriers are so low, therefore there's so many players out there. There's literally probably over 1,500 agencies, I think, in New Zealand, from one-man bands through to small teams of a couple of employees, through to 10, 50 to 100. So, yeah, it's really, really interesting out there. It's very, very competitive. And New Zealand's a small market, right? So if you don't get results and you promise the world and you deliver a tombstone, well, sorry, but that's not going to be great for your agency or your business. It's definitely not good for your customer. So, there's a lot of workings that go into actually building an agency. And,
Anthony, we're just losing your sound a moment there.
Sorry, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into building an agency. And as you build through the stages, there's new problems, right? The first problem is, when you're first starting off, it's like, how do we get customers through the door? Second problem after that is, great, we've got customers. Now we've got to deliver what we've promised. Third problem that usually comes is, okay, now I'm working 70 hours and this isn't sustainable. I need to hire a team. So who should I hire first? And then as you start building a team, then you have problems like, okay, how do I get the most out of my team and build a culture? And so on and so forth, right? And it's a full-on journey. And to be an owner or an entrepreneur, to build that business, you need to be, in my opinion, quite multidisciplinary. So you need to, I think you need to be good at sales in one way. And if not, you need to hire someone to fill that gap. You can't just only be good at sales. You need to be looking after your people. You need to be looking into the products and what you're going to deliver. There's just so many things that go in this space. And in my opinion, even though it's a low barrier to entry, I think a lot of people don't recognize that. Some people don't understand what they've actually got themselves into. For me, it's been an amazing journey, and the challenges have been really exciting. But as you said, super, super commoditized. So we have to do things different to stand out.
And is that commoditization getting worse over time, or is it something that's improving?
Certain businesses or agencies have broken the mold by doing certain things, and other agencies haven't. And I think the results are pretty clear. The ones that have created their own unique process, they've built and invested in their own brand, they're the ones that are winning today. Others that have piggybacked off suppliers like Google, Facebook, reselling their products, not focusing on their own brand, etc. I think they're struggling, and it's not that easy out there. So you need to do certain things to sort of stand out in a commoditized space. And one thing that I just definitely do not agree with is price. Like we would never discount our price because the space is commoditized. If someone comes to us and says, "Hey, I've got these 2 quotes, can you match it?" It's an absolute no from me, because we've done certain things to try and put ourselves in a different category. Whether that's the results that we've got for previous customers, having worked with over 700 companies, which is a massive amount compared to your small agency that they might be taking a quote from. Whether it's risk reversal, no-brainer offers as well. We're in a space which is high risk, so if you can take that risk off the table, that can be a really good thing. And various other things, like you can pick up awards, focus on your branding, the way that you sell. You can push forward something that's unique, that people feel like they can only get from you. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the commoditized space area. At the end of the day, though, like when it comes down to it, we are selling Google advertising. We are selling Facebook advertising. These are big companies, and we're just an aggregate in the middle. So you have to do things that add value to your business, so that the customer doesn't just look at you as, cool, you're an agency putting ads up, we could do that ourselves. Or, cool, you're an agency putting ads up, we could go somewhere else and get that. Because that's the last thing that you want. And I think that's pretty universal across most businesses too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, generally what we see in the market or markets around the world is just about every market segment has more competition than it ever had before. The barriers of entry to all markets are gradually coming down as the world gets more and more interconnected. So everything becomes more commoditized to some extent, and finding that point of differentiation becomes harder and harder. And, we obviously operate in the consulting space, and it's no different. We have to be adding things to customers that are either unique or add a lot of value in some form or other. It's interesting. So, so what you talked a little bit about the risk. Are you talking about risk from your perspective or risk from your customer's perspective?
Actually, a bit of both, but mainly the customer. Right. So, there, our SEO product that we have in market, we have guaranteed certain results at milestones at 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So, for example, someone comes to us, they have a website. The website's not 6 months new, so they qualify for the guarantee, and we'll guarantee that we can achieve first page rankings and also an increase of traffic to the website through our SEO process, which is quite unheard of. Some agencies that are doing it, it's a smoking mirror. This is a true guarantee that actually is there to serve the customer. So if we don't get results, they just don't pay. So it's, I think in this space as well, because you have a lot of people out there trying to wing it because of that low barrier to entry that we talked about before. And there's a lot of people that say, yep, I can do SEO. And, unfortunately, it's got a bad rep. People will take on a project and just do bugger all work. It's really unfortunate. So there's a low level of trust for SEO services in the country because people have been burnt before. So we played on that and said, okay, how do we turn that around? And how do we put the power into the customer's hands and say, like, look, we will work on a results focus only. I think you've done something similar in your business, haven't you?
Yeah, we remove risk from the perspective of the customer by being paid on the outcomes that we bring to the business rather than just charging a flat rate. So it's similar, I guess. And yes, there's an element of risk in all of that, there's no doubt. But the risk in our case is the risk is on us, not the customer. The point of the solution is to remove the risk from the customer. And I guess you're doing something similar there in as much that if you can't get the performance that you're saying you